want this to be a conversation. So that means I need active participation. I need you to engage and respond. And I need you to pay attention to what you're thinking and feeling as we move through this message. And I want you to find a reason all the way through to keep falling forward instead of withholding. Do I have anybody who's going to take the ride with me? All right. For those of you who wear makeup, since we've been talking about that, when you put on your makeup this morning, did you just put the new makeup right on top of the old makeup? When you get your nails done, do you just get the new polish right on top of the old polish? The new tips right on top of the new tips, or old tips? When you try out a styling product, like a new one, do you just put the new product right on top of whatever's in the hair at the time? Or do you start fresh? Why? I'm going to take all that and say, because you know that the old can distort the new. And the final result is only as good as the purity and the preparation of the foundation. So before we add anything today, I want to make sure we uncover and understand your foundation. That's the thoughts and the feelings behind what you do and why. Do I still have riders? Okay. I believe movies can mimic life. And so I want to use one to help us today. Wizard of Oz, anybody know it? Yay! I was like, I hope they know it. Yay! Okay. So it's a story about the tornado that whizzes through Kansas, right? And sweeps a young woman named Dorothy from her Kansas home to the magical land of Oz. As she's on her way to meet the wizard to ask his help to get her home, she meets the Cowardly Lion, who needs some courage. She meets the Tin Man, who's missing a heart. And she meets the Scarecrow, who needs a brain. So what I'd like you to do is see which one or more of these characters you can relate to. Because remember, we want to uncover and understand our foundation, the why of what we do, right? You might be like the Tin Man, in search of heart. You don't want to disappoint or let anybody down. So you're going through the motions, walking through life, fulfilling dreams, looking to satisfy and please others. Maybe your mama wanted a doctor in the family. Your daddy thought you'd make a good teacher. Grandma wanted grandkids. Maybe you're expected to work in the family business or continue a legacy. Maybe you're the one who's supposed to take the family from where they are and get them a better life. Or maybe broken by people and experiences, you push to be impressive, to be known, to be popular, to be famous, or acquire money and things so that you can prove to the mama who said you would never be anything that she was wrong. Or you can get even with the man who left or betrayed you. Or maybe it's a little bit different. And because nobody ever thought anything good would come from you, instead of fighting to prove them wrong, instead you let your actions make them right. Whether you are moved by other people's expectations, your own brokenness, or selfish desires, even if you find yourself successful, I think there's a feeling of emptiness an unfulfillment, maybe even numbness or angriness, and you don't understand why. You're crying on the inside to be seen for who and what you are, craving the opportunity to find and follow your own voice. Now, maybe that's not you. Maybe it's the fact that you're frustrated. Because like the scarecrow, you either don't believe or you don't understand that you were created to do something special. You and your talent have not been valued. And so you don't think you're valuable. Perhaps one time you thought so, but life has beat you down and you're no longer hopeful. You've tried and you failed and you do not want to be wrong again. So you keep yourself safe in the familiar. And anything that challenges the comfort of the familiar, you reject and resist it. You don't allow yourself to dream because to believe and be disappointed is more than you can bear. So it's easier not to expect different and not to want for better. Perhaps neither one of those. You don't relate to either of those because you've seen glimpses of your potential. You sense its power, but like the lion, you stifle, hinder, and hide. Operating well below your potential, resisting anything that challenges or seeks to test your abilities, shying away from the direction God's given, because you know He's given you direction, but you've not been courageous and bold enough to embrace it fully. You make lists, talk about ideas, things you want to do, but you never follow through quite completely. You paralyze yourself with analysis, the push for perfection, always wanting to do the right thing, make the right choice, go the right way. Or maybe you procrastinate and uproot God's word with your mouth, with self-sabotage, or even laziness. You're not playing to win, but you want to do just enough to say and tell yourself that you're trying. It's like when you call somebody, but you don't really want to talk to them. Anybody ever do that? And so you call when, one, either you think they're not going to be home or you hope they're not home, and the whole time the phone is ringing, you're hoping for the voicemail. You're like, Lord, let the voicemail pick up, let the voicemail pick up. And either way, you're happy because you can say you tried, right? The truth is you are scared of what success will require you to give or leave behind. So you keep one foot in and one foot out, never fully committing your whole self, never fully standing in the full and the complete power of God that lies within you. Understanding with confidence that it is brighter than any other light. Understanding with confidence that it has no comparison or rival. So you don't need to keep looking around, comparing yourself to anybody else. God's light in you has no comparison, it has no rival. Maybe we ain't got to you yet, so I'm going to give it one more try. You faithfully know and you faithfully do God's direction. But you no longer fit in the space that you're in and you know it. It's time to go deeper. Be more of who and what God is calling you to be. Like Dorothy, the safety of what you know, The comfort of what you've been in is fading away. Maybe even being taken away. And you might be uncomfortable. You might be anxious and uneasy. You might even be angry. You see the limit of your own ability, and you are more vulnerable, more raw than you've ever been. It's scary because you feel exposed. Not only are you unsure of what is next, you're not sure if you can or if you want to do it. It makes me think like when you go to an amusement park, right? And they have like a roller coaster or like a ride that's supposed to be the biggest ride of the park. And you go, and there's a line, but you stand just outside the line, right? You watching the line, and you looking up at the ride. And you watch it go through the tips and the turns and the twists and the flips, and you listen to the people screaming. And after a couple cycles, you decide, all right, I'm going for it. So you get in line. Now it's your turn. Time for you to get on the ride. And you start questioning, why I get in line? And do I really want to ride this? Because the view from the seat is a lot different from the observation on the ground. On any given day, I can relate to Dorothy, Tin Man, Lion. I can relate to all of them. In the movie, the characters can't get what they need from the great Wizard of Oz. It turns out he's a phony. He's a fake. Fortunate for us, the great I Am is very real. And his power, the thing I know for certain, is that wherever you are, whichever you relate to, wherever your mind brings you today, that he has what you need for the foundation to become all of what he intended through you. Here's what I need us to do. I want you to walk with me, and I want you to buy into this. I want your permission. Will you walk with me as we flesh out his message using the letters of the word dream? Will you walk with me? Okay, so y'all don't be like fair weather friends. When it get rocky, I don't want you leaving me. So you're going to walk with me, right? Okay. Let's start with D. Derived from God. There are 21 instances in the Bible that reference dreams. The common theme, they all come from God. There's nothing wrong with wanting to help your family. There's nothing wrong with wanting your parents to be proud of you or seeking to rise above the expectations, low expectations that others may have placed on you. The problem is, when you take your cues from people outside of your Creator, you take yourself out of position. Dreams represent your purest possibility and symbolize your significance to God. You don't go get a dream, God gives it. We often think, who would I be if my life circumstances were more perfect? If my daddy hadn't have left, if my mama had protected me, if I wasn't violated or hurt, if I didn't get pregnant or divorced or hadn't gotten married in the first place, if I always felt loved and like I mattered. You may believe that circumstances have capped your potential. You may be under the false impression that circumstances close off options and they can cancel God's promise. But I need you to understand that circumstances can never cancel, does not have the power to cancel what God has deposited and what he has promised. God's Spirit is in the very essence of your dreams. The word dream means to live, have the desire to live and do life differently. So when you have an idea to create an invention, to start a business, to organize community outreach, to have a family, to create a lifestyle, to have a new experience different than what you already do, understand that that is the creative power and the Spirit of God at work through you. Now, I gave you a few examples, but I want you to fill in what you're thinking about. When you have the idea, but you say, oh no, you got a whole bunch of reasons why you can't. When that idea comes to you, that's God at work through you. When you listen and partner with him, you become the fullness of everything he intended, despite the circumstance, despite what has or has not happened in your life. That's what you need to understand. That's why Ephesians 2:10 says, you, me, you, we are God's masterpiece. He created us anew in Christ Jesus long ago, not today, not yesterday, not 10 years ago, long ago, so that we can do the good things he planned for us. You hear what I said? Good things he planned for us. There is a poem that I really love, and I am doing my best to live it out in my life, and I'm getting better. It's by Marianne Williamson. She says, it's not our light, but it's not our darkness, but our light that most frightens us. It's not what we do wrong, but it's all the things that we could do right that most scares us. We think, who am I to be? Brilliant, talented, fabulous, and gorgeous. Who are you not to be? We are children of the Most High God. And we are created to manifest his glory. It's not just in a few of us. It's not just in me. It's not just in Pastor Rose. It's in all of us. There is not one person in here without it. Do y'all ever, as you've been sitting here and going through the weekend, and people have come up and sang and praised, and you see videos roll out, and people have shared, do you ever wonder what that sense that makes you feel more comfortable? As you see them walking in their light, as you see them pushing and stepping up, do you ever wonder why you feel more comfortable? What you're attracted to? It's because you feel more comfortable seeing them. You want to do the same thing in your own life. You feel more freer to do that in your own life. It's because the light of God not only lights the dreamer up, but it lights up everything around it. That's the power of it. So you gotta walk in your light so that you can be a light to others. That's the critical piece. That's the way this all works. Now, I say walk in your light. I say the light is in you. But I think some people may have forgotten. You may not know. You may not have been a place where it could be seen. You may not have been in a place where it could be cultivated, developed, recognized, watered. Or you may be too shallow, stuck at the surface. And God has placed seeds well below the surface. But you stuck looking around up here, and you need to dig deeper. You got to go further. You got to do more than what you already have done. You got to be willing to go and step up even when you fell down. Get up again, stronger, stand up, tall, get in it, come for it. Because the fact that you're still here, that you're looking at me today, you still have a seed. What are you doing with it? You may ask, okay, Deneen, that's so fantastic. I really appreciate the motivation. That's great. How do we do it? How do we do it? How do I get the light? I don't think Jesus is going to come down and hang out with you during snack time. I don't think he's going to grab a Whataburger with you. He ain't coming to your living room. He's not going to DM you, send a friend request, hit you up on Facebook. But what he will do, he will direct you to people and situations. Case in point. That's a clue to your seed. That's a clue to your seed. Notice, what gives you energy when you do it? What are you more energized after you do it or thinking about doing it? Think about that thing. You feel energy when you think about it. You feel energy after you do it. That's a clue to your seed. What comes naturally to you? You just do it easily. And other people are like struggling. You're like, how can you not? I don't understand. That's a clue to your seed. What God will do is he will take you from opportunity to opportunity, experience to experience. You don't have to start with the thing. In fact, you don't start with the thing. He takes you opportunity to opportunity, experience to experience. And he does that so that he develops you, so that as the seeds are blooming, as they are blossoming in your life, you have the heart to handle the harvest. I love movies because I relate to the dialogue. And I was watching a movie recently, and the character says, you wonder. She was like, she had an art form, and she was like, I'm, real tentative about moving forward. And he said, you wonder who will listen, why, and for how long. But when you have something worth saying, your only responsibility is to say it and not to apologize. Everybody in here, without exception, has something worth sharing. Your only responsibility is to take the step to share it. God will fill in the rest. It is not your job to judge his choice of color or stroke. Respect your path. That's the R. I need you to, instead of saying, oh Lord, it has been tough, my life is, I'm not disqualifying that. What I'm saying to you is whatever the experience has been, whatever it currently is, and whatever it will be, look for the lesson. Figure out what it's teaching you. Figure out what God is wanting you to apply and how he's wanting you to apply it so that you move forward and you don't stay stuck. Joseph, it's one of the things that I was reading when I was preparing for this. He has two dreams in Genesis chapter 37. Now, he has the dreams in 37. Between the point at which he has the dreams and they're fulfilled right around chapter 50, he's sold into slavery, he's sexually assaulted, he's set up, he's lied on, he's imprisoned, he's betrayed and forgotten. Well, none of that in a dream. So what I need you to understand is that even when your life feels like anything but a dream, God is not a liar. He is using the hardship to set up. The hardship is going to be a link to the legacy, okay? Because if you read that, and we don't have time to read it because I would love to, but you need to go back and read it. Genesis 37, just read through 50, chapter 50. And you will see that he was sold into slavery, that's how he got to work in Pharaoh's house. Later down the road, it's the dream that he interpreted for Pharaoh that causes him to be made governor. His dream is about him becoming a man of great importance. Do you see the link? Sold into slavery, lied on, work in Pharaoh's house, become governor. There's a connection. Hardship is the link to legacy. So whatever it's been in your life, it may have been hard, it may have hurt, it may have been disappointing, it may have been undeserved, but it has prepped you. And just like Esther, this is your time. This is the reason. This is the space. This is the opportunity. This is the moment. Stop acting like you got some additional and other chances. And what are you waiting on? What are we waiting on? E equals destiny, not deadline. Remember I told you Joseph had 2 dreams in 37, Genesis 37. There definitely is some time that passes. We talked about that, right? When he interprets the dream for the cupbearer in chapter 40, I'm sure Joseph must have been thinking, yay, I'm on my way. Because the Pharaoh's going to know about it, and I got some favor, and this is going to turn around. I'm on my way. I know you felt like that. I know I have. I've met people. I've got opportunities. I've made connections, and I've been thinking, that's what's going to do it. I see it developing. It's happening. Yes, I'm on my way. And then I don't move. Then there's no change. Then there's not the progress that I expected. You won't move. You won't go until God says so. He has the first and the final say. So if you're afraid you've missed your opportunity, that time is up, the window's closed, you too old, what you thought could never happen, I need you to get yourself unfixated on what you lost and start looking at what you have left, what you have not started, what you have not pursued, what you thought was dead or maxed or over. God is wanting to do a new thing. He is wanting to ignite a new thing in your heart. He's wanting to raise up the seed that you thought didn't know, didn't want, what God put away. But you got to step out. You got to work with what's available to you. You got to be willing to partner with him. A, adopt an attitude for excellence, an attitude of excellence. We talked about what Joseph went through, slavery. I mean, that's, ain't nobody signing up for that, right? I never read, though. When you go back and read that, you never read him complaining about his life. Oh, Lord, well, that's why I couldn't, I ain't going to do my best. I ain't going to give my best because I don't even need to be working here anyway. This ain't even where I want to be. This ain't what I signed up for. We don't read that. Instead, the Bible says he did everything with excellence. And the scripture is clear that God was with him and caused everything he did to succeed. That means God inhabits excellence. That's what that means. That means you doing everything you know to do, when you know to do it, even when nobody looking, even when nobody ain't got no camera in front of you. You doing everything you know to do, the best with what you have, where you are. Two years after he interprets that cupbearer's dream, the cupbearer recommends him to Pharaoh because he remembers his work from 2 years earlier. Let your work ethic speak for you. Act in a way that has integrity. Act in a way that's consistent and right so that your work ethic will speak for you. The two dreams that Joseph interprets for Pharaoh are about scarcity and prosperity. That lets us know that there is going to be times of ups and downs in pursuit of a dream. There's going to be times when it's good and when it ain't. When you up and when you down, when you feel discouraged and lost, and times you feel you got it all going on. When it's good, you don't take that for granted. That's the time you get in it. You invest in yourself. You strengthen and ground and girt yourself. And you get around people, you stay around people that support and encourage you, and they don't detract from you. What you do in the easy is what you will draw upon in the difficult. M, more God, less me. When Joseph gets called to interpret that dream for Pharaoh, those dreams for Pharaoh, Pharaoh says, I heard you was the man. I heard you could, tell me what my dreams mean. Joseph says, hold up. Let me make it clear. I can't. I can do what God allows me to do, but God can. When you get elevated, highlight God. Let me be clear about what that means, because I know I've been working through this whole humility thing. Humility does not mean dismissing and downplaying your efforts, your talents, your achievements. What it does mean is acknowledging and recognizing openly that if it were not for God's presence, His favor, His participation, that who you are, what you have, and what you do would not be possible. Now, our purpose is for God's glory, no doubt. That's our purpose. But it does not mean we won't have and enjoy things that we want. For God says it pleases Him to favor and prosper His people. He says, I will not withhold any good thing from that he who is faithful. But before you pursue your own desires or something you've come up with, you believe, make sure that it's reflection of God's vision and not your own selfish ambition. 3 questions. 3 questions to ask yourself to make sure that distinction is present. That is God and not just you. 1, what's the dream you believe God's given you? 2, what's the care and the concern at the core of that dream? 3, what problem does it address? If you can answer those questions with an answer that's beyond you and your benefit, then that's a good indicator that it's more about God than you. I want to conclude. I want to wrap us up. The women in this room are strong. You're here. You're still standing. You've endured. You've made it through. I consider myself strong. I always have. I've prided myself on being strong. But I have not always been courageous. Courage is about more than making it through. It's about how you do it. The word dream means to think about, to desire, to imagine living or doing life differently. So wherever you find yourself today, dreaming again means stepping away from others' expectations, moving past the pain into promise and possibility, standing up and stepping forward when it would be familiar and comfortable to shrink back. It means trusting more, deeper, harder, fuller than you ever have before. To create a reality, an experience, a new thing in your heart, in your life, in your work, in your marriage, and in your relationship with our Father. That absolutely demands courage. There's no way around it. As long as you breathe, as long as you move, the biggest thing you could ever do, the most impressive thing you could ever do, is make yourself fully accessible and available to God. bring everything you have, all your talents, all your time, all your money, all your resources, all your dreams, all your wants, all your cares, and put them at his disposal. And allow him to work the fullness therein through you. Surrender is the best setup for God's best work. I want to say just a few more things as we wrap up. There is no magic or mystery. We have got to throw ourselves into getting to know our Creator. We've got to. Not mundane rituals, obligation, but relationship. See, God is not like Chick-fil-A or Whataburger. You can't just drive through and get it. He's more like a sit-down restaurant where they bring your food to you one piece at a time. The soup, the salad, the appetizer, the main course, the dessert, and maybe a little coffee after. See, we're meant to evolve over time. And what God does is he helps us do that piece by piece, little by little. Your job is to stay sitting at the table and use everything he places in front of you and stay hungry.